independence. Your reasoning for going independent.
Total and complete control over my creative freedom, my creativity. Control over the way I put out my stuff. I think also I've learned a lot, man, because I've been under like a label structure for quite some time now. So I learned a lot of like, the inner workings of the industry, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I can apply everything that I've learned by myself or with my media team, and we'll do just fine. But, it's the time.
I mean, look, so how much of it you want to speak on is fair? Do you feel you signed a bad deal? Because you referenced that within one of the tracks, or was that in retrospect?
I wasn't talking about this recent deal with Def Jam and Universal. That one was cool.
Mm-hmm.
That one was really good. Very fruitful. It's one of the earlier deals that I signed. A couple, two actually. I'm not gonna say which one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was two of the ones I signed earlier on that kind of,
For again, without saying who it was, what did you feel wasn't making sense for you on an artist and business level?
I think obviously the percentage split could have been better. Obviously when you're new in the game, you kind of undervalue yourself, because you're a newbie, everyone else has been doing this way longer than you. You see these huge budgets and you think, these people are, they know what they're doing and they're gonna take me there. It's gonna be like this, but that's not really how it goes. It's all about like the work that you put in as an artist, how you connect with your fans, the demand that you create, and all that stuff. So it really is in your hands, And yeah, when you're starting off, you tend to put all that responsibility on someone else, and so you're more willing to give them like a bigger cut than you probably should.
I think there's a lot of dream selling early on, like
Yeah.
You go
name dropping and all that stuff, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
For sure, take it.
It's like everything is always the upside, that the best possible outcome, and never like, well, if it doesn't.
Yeah, you don't think about that
No.
part. Also, they mentioned the international trips, and you're just like, I've always wanted to go to the States or whatever, and you're just like, sure, let's do it.
So when you came out of that situation, what helped you get out of it? Because I don't know the situation, I don't know the particulars, right? Yeah. But typically, sometimes people have like long-term deals, or was it a long-term contract, or you just like, how were you able to get out of that then? Did you have to...
It wasn't, so none of my deals have ever ended like on a bad note.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very normal person. I'm a human being before this superstar artist, whatever. So I build relationships with everyone I work with, all my partners, So when I feel like it's time for me to leave, it's always on a very good note. We talk things out, we figure out a structure for us to, make sure each party gets what they deserve or gets back the same amount they put in or whatever. And we always make it work, man. It wasn't, none of them were ever, like, you've never heard about any of these things, like on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah, no rants.
It doesn't go like that with me, man. We sit down, we talk it out, we figure it out.
On Free, the intro, like I say in the intro, there's so many quotables on it. There's a lot. And it actually does serve as an introduction. Yeah. What was your mind frame even recording at that period when you were letting all those lyrics out?
I'm very like intentional with my intros and outros. Those are almost always the last two songs that I do on the album. They're like the ribbon, on the thing. So when I went in there, I already knew what I wanted it to feel like going into the album. And all that kind of stuff. So just in that session, I was like, all right, I need something that feels big, that feels like an intro. I make you wait for the drums. They only come in like a minute later. And then after that, it's a ride throughout the whole album. It's like an up and down thing, all the way to the end. Yeah, that's just approaching it. I already knew what I wanted it to be, like sonically.
Also, when you're rapping like that, also, when do you know when you stop?
It's a feeling, man.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a feeling. Yeah, all of it is a feeling, I'll be honest. You listen to it a million times and you just keep going back to the drawing board and then you fix things, you tweak things, Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there was a point where I felt like it was taking too long. Like, I was like, all right, maybe bring the drums in a bit quicker, so I made that version too, and it was like, nah, it doesn't do the same thing. This kind of feels like a track 4 or 5 or whatever. That's why I went back to that. Yeah, you just keep going back to it and you workshop it and whatever.
Do you know? I mean, I guess the interesting part is that not every artist does that, especially not every rapper. Like once the verse is done,
it's done.
They walk out the room, and some of the producers want to start doing the whole.
But see, I produce too, and I engineer too.
Okay, so all those as well.
Yeah, okay, so I record myself like 99% of the time.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because I guess you probably see with some others that maybe like that they're done.
Yeah.
It's just done.
Just recording it and that's that. Yeah.
Does that? I won't say slow down the process, but for some people who have Malik Berry is a case in point. A good friend of mine. He takes so long with his music because he come from producer side as well.
Right.
Tweaking. Yeah. Is that a bit like you? Or?
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm like that too. I'm like I'll turn in the final version of the thing a day before, like it has to go into mixing and mastering and stuff like that, because I'm constantly changing stuff, you know. But part of it is because of like just doubts, you know. Like closer to release day or when you have to submit something, you start being like, is this the right version? Is this the whatever, you know? Because you're like unsure and whatever. That's just like an anxiety that most artists get anyways. But yeah, I'm like that too, man. I take my time with my music.
When it's the anxiety, is it how it's received, like, or how it performs?
Nah, for me, it's mostly how it'll be received, you know? The performance of the songs, I mean, I love it when it performs well, but it's not really a thing I think about before I release it. I only start checking that stuff maybe a month or whatever after I've already dropped it.
One of my favorite tracks on the album, Evidence. Like, I think the line is, I've got faith, but it wouldn't hurt to get evidence.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about that song and like, let's have more of a deep dive into that record.
Yeah, man. So I grew up in a Christian household, Christian family. So I've always been a believer of God. I've always been a person who fears God. But obviously, as I turned into an adult, I started to have my own questions, and you know, I wanted to have my own understanding and my own relationship with God, and not just one I inherited from my father. So then that's when all those questions popped up, and just seeing how crazy the world is right now, man. The world is insane, man. You know, it's a very cold place. You see all these things happening in different countries and stuff, and you just start to wonder if God is real. You're just like, yo, where is God? Like, how is he letting all this stuff happen? And obviously, like, you talk to people. I talk to my big brother about this a lot. I talk to like my friends about it a lot, you know. And we're always like, I guess we come to our own conclusions as to what like heaven is, or what God's plan is, or you know, why we go through so much, why the world is what it is, why we even have free will. You know, all those questions, you know. Yeah, that was the whole thinking behind that song.
No, it's a great song. Yeah. If you catch it, what? Don't have to be too. Can you share what some of your conclusions are?
So, a friend of mine, his name is Devoko, I was talking to him about this thing the other day, and this is what he said, and I was like, yo, I like that one. I think I want to hold on to that one for a minute. I think he said heaven is what people will remember you by when you're gone. So if you're a good person and you're a person who is loving, caring, funny, you have good intentions all the time, your heart was in the right place, people will remember you in that way, and so you're in heaven, you know? He said he doesn't think that it's this place where everyone is in white robes and they're singing and, you know, chilling in the clouds or whatever. And that to me felt a bit more realistic. And I think at the time I was going through like a crazy existential crisis, man. I was questioning this whole thing. I was even thinking about logging off, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Life gets like that sometimes. And so, yeah, I like that theory. Wait, I find it easier to believe than all the others, you know? Everything else sometimes sounds like a fairy tale. Like,
it was maybe a bit dramatic, right?
Yeah, man. It's like, yeah, I find it very hard to believe. Look, I'm one of those guys who's always like, I'm like, I need to see a miracle, bro. Like, God needs to do something. Like, even if he appears for like, maybe even not him, just an angel. Let me see something, you know, even if it's for a split second, just for me to something that'll shake me enough to go, okay, cool, yeah, this is, you know?
Do you look? So look, you're one of the biggest artists in Africa, right? And like London, you've got like you say it's like a second home. Many people will be thinking, okay, look, but you're doing really well. Like you know, what's really getting you to the point where you're so stressed? Because I guess sometimes it's reflective in the music, but people still forget there's a human element to what it takes.
Yeah.
What kind of brought you? Again, it's whether you want to divulge parts or not. That made you think that there's something, because it seemed like it was going for a long period. Yeah. What period was it from, and how did you get out of that period? If that makes sense. Or are you still working through it?
This is something I've been going through for maybe 2 years now, 2 years some change, and it comes and goes. So early in my life, I've had these moments, but they've never been this long and they've never been this intense. I think now because I'm older, I'm starting to like I'm looking for the purpose of this whole thing, you know, and like I consider myself to be a good person, a very normal person, a person who likes to be fair to others and be kind and stuff like that. So when I see people who are just like super negative, man, and they're just like haters and they like to inflict pain on people, whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, whatever, and they traumatize people, it makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel a certain way, man. It makes me feel like there's no point to this whole thing. We're just random organisms that just exist on this mud ball, and we're just all running crazy. And we're running this rat race of trying to be the richest, the funniest, the this, the that. You know, so I every now and then I hit those moments and I find myself in those dark places where I ask all these questions and stuff. I don't even know how it started or what triggered the whole thing, but I guess all of us go through it at some point in life, you know? Yeah.
Also, I think when you're in a certain position that you're in, I think, I won't say entitlement, but there's sometimes people just think you can maybe sometimes solve their problems. It's like, well, you must, you're doing good, like, fix this, and it's always a constant. Every day, it's more taking than replacing. How do you deal with that part? Because you can't hide from your success now. People just, they make their own perception of how
they know. And they have their I mean, I struggled with that for a bit. I felt like my gift, my blessing to be like successful was kind of a burden at some point, because there was so many hands, like so many people asking for stuff, and I couldn't help everyone, and I felt like I was very disappointed, you know, in myself and them. I kind of felt like, I was just in a bad space, you know. And I spoke to my big brother about it the one time, and he, I can't remember exactly what he said, like verbatim, but whatever he said made me understand that I had a little bit of, what's it called, savior's complex or something like that.
Was it survivor's guilt or one of those?
No. So like, when you try too hard to save everyone, you know, and you forget that everyone is having their own experience in life, and everyone is supposed to find their purpose and you know, be great in their own way. You know, you're not responsible for everyone, whether it's family, friends, whatever. You know, you shouldn't always like put that on your shoulders to say, "Alright, I'm the guy that's gonna." I mean, I understand, and this is just because of how I was raised. Like, I understand, like when you're blessed, you're supposed to bless others too. You're supposed to pass that down. You know, it's not all for you. And I'm just not that kind of person in nature too. So naturally, I felt like, alright, this is the reason why I'm successful, right? I'm supposed to da 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 da. So when it came time to like, well, I couldn't do that, I just felt like, man, what is, like, you know?
That's so real.
It was tearing me up, man. But I had to talk to my brother, and he was like, yeah, man. He even included himself. He was like, yo, don't, even me, bro. Like, let me go through my stuff sometimes. Like, sometimes it's even a little offensive to not give someone an opportunity to pick themselves back up and dig deep within themselves to find that thing that will pick them back up. And, you know, because people need to be proud of themselves too. Like, I'm super proud of myself for all the pits that I've dragged myself out from, just me dolo, you know what I mean? So you have to give people that too, respect people enough to you know, let them trust their own process too, you know? So he gave me like a lot of like words of encouragement and just put me back on the right way of thinking. yeah, that helped me.